One of our top weather headlines for the last several days has been Idalia. You're looking at video from near Horseshoe Beach from earlier today as crews are heading in with boats in all of that high water that we have there. Storm surge is the big story along coastal areas, especially on the west coast of Florida, where we had some of the highest storm surge totals that we've ever seen in some locations there. And then you go for the inland areas, and now we're talking about wind damage, power outages, and freshwater flooding from very heavy rainfall. Now, after a system like this moves through, it takes some help from the outside to help go through those rescue and recovery efforts, and that's where I would like to bring in Al Hope with Minuteman. He is the logistics and training coordinator for that disaster response group. And Al, you said you were heading down to Florida right now. Tell me a little bit about your group and what you hope to accomplish by heading down to Florida.
Yes, ma'am. Minuteman Disaster Response is an all-volunteer group out of McKinney, Texas. And we respond to all manner of natural disasters, mostly hurricanes, straight-line wind, and tornadoes, and help people clean up after those events. We have a field office in Birmingham, and we cover an area from Texas all the way to the Atlantic, and then the Gulf states.
And so being in that part of the country, of course, you have some experience with tropical systems. What are you expecting when you arrive down to Florida tonight?
A lot of downed trees for certain. There's quite the canopy cover down there in Florida. And from looking at the power outage maps, there's a substantial swath of the folks there in the Panhandle that have had trees down. And that is one of the areas that we really kind of specialize in is tree removal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure they could use a lot of that help. I saw some videos from earlier today, even along I-10, a major interstate through the Panhandle of Florida, and the Sheriff's Department, the State Highway Patrol were asking people to stay off the road because there were just so many trees down on that major highway. And obviously, as you head into the residential areas, that's only going to be amplified. So besides tree removal, what are some of the things that Minuteman does when you arrive into a disaster zone?
Right now, myself and another gentleman, we're headed down to the disaster area to make an assessment for our organization to see where we would best fit in with helping folks recover from this incident. And once we've established a parking lot, essentially, to put our base camp, we will coordinate with the office in McKinney to start bringing down the rest of our equipment and start getting volunteers signed up to come and help people clean up.
Awesome. So you kind of provide the staging for the support that you're going to be doing. And how long do you anticipate being down in that region to help with the recovery efforts?
It's difficult to say right now without having actually seen what's going on. And there's still a lot of confusion right now. It's very early in the response. We have, when we went to Hurricane Ian last year, we were down in Clearwater for over 30 days. So it will be at least 3 weeks, but as long as 6 weeks.
Wow, that's impressive that you're able to coordinate efforts like that. And I'm sure that those efforts will be greatly appreciated. I hope you can get off the road and get out of that vehicle very soon. And I'm sure we'll be checking in with you in the coming days to see how your efforts are going. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And it's always a good, important reminder to make sure you're using good resources if you're going to be helping out. Make sure you're checking in with volunteer organizations like Minuteman or the Red Cross or organizations like that. And make sure you avoid scams because, unfortunately, there are people who tend to take advantage of these type of situations when we have these people in need at this time. Now, there's a video from Perry, Florida. You can see some of that very strong wind that we have going on right there with the strong wind gusts. And we've also had very heavy rain. That's where I'd like to bring in meteorologist Kara James to talk more about the flooding that we've seen around this region.
Yeah, there have been some spots getting almost 7 inches of rain, and this is a list from Florida. Most of these numbers are probably pretty close to being final, but now we're starting to see all that really heavy rain moving into Georgia and the Carolinas, and you can see 2 distinct bands that produced widespread swaths of 6 to 7 inches of rain. That's in the gray areas. So we had one down here towards Cape Coral and another one that started from around Tallahassee, moving out through Savannah and Charleston, and then eventually will move into the rest of the state of South Carolina. The heaviest rain is on the northern and eastern side of the center of Idalia, so taking up a lot of South Carolina and into North Carolina as well. Georgia starting to clear out from the rain, although it is still a little windy, but severe storms, particularly tornadoes, have been a little problematic, especially along the coastal areas today, and we do continue to have the severe weather potential here through the next couple of hours from Wilmington, North Carolina down through Savannah and into inland parts of South Carolina, where we have some turning of the band around the system, along with the frictional effects of going from the water into some of those marshier areas, especially into the low country of South Carolina and into Georgia. It's really marshy down there, and that can help spin up little tornadoes. And we've seen that so far today. And through the overnight from Jacksonville, North Carolina, back through Savannah is going to be where we have the best chance of seeing that rotation. There's a low end chance for a few rotating storms too around central Florida, along with the gusty wind potential too. But oftentimes where we get the eastern side of the center of the low is where we see most of that activity. So picking things up for the next few hours, these outer rain bands moving from Charleston through Myrtle Beach and Wilmington out through around the Greenville area through early tomorrow morning is when we'll see the best possibility for those tornadoes. Also very heavy rain taking up most of the state of North Carolina overnight. But this thing is moving so fast that by the time we get to about 8 or 9 a.m. tomorrow, a lot of that heaviest rain will be offshore, although the outer banks of North Carolina and into places like Virginia Beach could still be getting some heavy rain. And gusty winds on the backside of the system will still make it a pretty breezy day for Thursday, but mainly dry. Most of the heaviest rain should be falling between Myrtle Beach and places like Wilmington through the midday hours tomorrow. And then we'll start to see some better weather in place, but we're also going to be dealing with all the flooding and the storm surge.